But if he lets go, things get very interesting, as we saw in a fight between Huzimar Palhares and Alan Belcher, which also started from the crackdown. Belcher was doing a crotch lift, but he has the inside leg laced with Palhares' inside leg, just like Bryce Mitchell likes to do to his opponents. And as he pulls Palhares over his leg, instead of rolling over with him, he stops halfway through and grabs the other leg. This position is called the truck, developed by Eddie Bravo, and there are many submission opportunities. The first is a calf slicer, which can be done by grabbing the far foot and pulling down while pushing your shin into the pit of the opponent's knee. This is what Belcher attempted first, but he was unable to get a good grip on Palhares' foot because Palhares locked up a figure 4, so Belcher moved to the next option, the twister. From the truck, all he needs to do is grab Palhares' near arm like a baseball bat and move it to the other side of his head. From here, he needs to grab Palhares' head and pull it while extending his whole body. But Palhares was defending well, so Belcher moved to the next option, the banana split. Belcher simply needed to grab the near leg and extend his body to stretch Palhares' inner thigh muscles. This is probably the weakest option because many high-level athletes have the flexibility to withstand it. But the beautiful thing about the truck is that if all of these submissions fail, he's in a great position to take the back. Belcher already has his bottom hook, so if he can bring his inside arm around Palhares' head, he can insert his top hook and take the back. But oftentimes people will try to sit up, as Palhares did, and this back take becomes even easier. If it's too difficult to fully lock the hands under the butt, another great option from this position is to sit the corner. First, post this hand on the mat on the other side of the opponent. Then, with the outside leg, drive toward the opponent's hips while lifting under the butt to turn your hips over. Hooking the near side leg before driving up is a little detail that prevents the opponent from circling away. This method is what McGregor actually did quite well. He had effectively won the position at this point. All he really needed to do was get a crossface, maybe a belly whizzer with his other arm, and extend to scoot his hips away and break the lock. Let's look at a failed attempt at sitting the corner against Bryce Mitchell. As Ilya landed in this crackdown position, the first mistake he made was being too square with Bryce. Ideally, he would rotate around so that he's facing into Bryce's hips. Another issue is that he's not pulling Bryce's weight onto his head enough. This can be solved by getting this arm deep under his butt and pulling his weight forward. These mistakes allowed Bryce to sit up, transition to a double leg, and ultimately take top position. Now let's look at a more successful example from Dan Ige. The first thing we can notice is that Ige has turned the corner much more than Ilya, and he has that hand under the butt to keep Bryce's weight on his head. A much better start. And while he doesn't quite pull off the cleanest hip heist, because he was constantly pulling Bryce's weight forward, he was able to hop his back leg enough to where his hips were now facing down, and he's keeping this post to ensure that Bryce wouldn't dump him back to the ground. Because Bryce is lacing that left leg, he can't quite sprawl out, so instead, when he starts to feel Bryce's weight come up, he drives off that back leg and ends up in a dominant top position. A simple limp leg and he's back to his feet.